Hi everyone. Um, right, so Kickstarter's finished, um, and I've shipped all the cases, um, so that's all done. So now we're into the next batch. Um, I've had a load more cases manufactured, and they've already arrived. One thing we was kind of surprised with the. I know I designed the cases and the packs so that you'd have something to put in it. So we did the Pi 4 pack, the AMI Hybrid with the AMI Hybrid software from AmiKit. We did the Mystics board, which was crazy popular, and the Unamiga, which unfortunately it wasn't quite as popular as I thought it would be, even though I think it's such a nice little machine. So, but yeah, so I've got some of them left. Now, but the crucial thing, let's concentrate. This video is all about the Mister. So the Mystics, initially we manufactured 50. Now that's myself and Edu Arana. Edu made them. So I ordered 50 off of him, and we sold them like almost instantly. So I got him to make another 125. So I got him to make 125 instead. They sold out a couple of weeks later, and this is way before the end. And technically, this is where I'm now, when I should have been prepared. Let me get one out here. So the Mystics, the idea of Mystics was, I'm sorry about the noise, I really should have got this there. I'm probably trying to cut this. Here we go. So you've probably seen this already, but the Mystics was a board, and right in that rectangle fits the DE10 Nano. And it does everything you'd really want to do in one of the big cube or not rectangular cube kind of things. Cube, stupid word, but the rectangular block setups. But it puts them all on the front, so you've got all your analog, you've got your VGA output, you've got Amiga I/O, so you can put a mouse in it. Lots of USB ports, etc. Stereo audio, loads and loads of stuff on it. And of course it's powered by a normal ATX, or in my case an SFX power supply. So it's a really nice little board. And they just flew. So I've now shipped all of them. Technically they're all gone. I have a couple spares, but they're really just to keep hold of. And so, moving on. So the problem with it was, even though they were snapped up really quickly, the price, I always thought the price of the board was too high. And both Edu and I agree on this, that the price, unfortunately, to manufacture them small scale and to make just a tiny little bit of profit on them, they just got too expensive. So we're taking a bit of a breather, and we're hoping to come back next year sometime with a new reduced cost version. But in the meantime, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to give people I don't want to use the word cheap, an inexpensive way of making this all work. Now, I remember Lexi said to me, just do it with cables. And he's not far off, actually, to be fair, but it's not quite as simple as that. So what I've done is I've put together a pack so that you can buy one of my cases. Now, I'm only doing these fitting kits with my cases. They're designed for my cases, even though they're technically mini ITX fitting kits. Because you need one of our little adapt ATX power boards. In a normal case, you'd have nowhere to fit it, whereas in my case, I've got the mountings for it. So it's not really designed for outside, but I may decide to release these outside for people to buy, but you just have to work around that part of it. But anyways, let's get back to my case. Right, so as you can see here, this is the advert that's going out. You may not have seen this advert yet. It's meant to be in jest. Call it British humour, call it what you like, but there's also a very good message here, I think. Now, we're big vampire fans, so it's kind of jesting a little bit with the vampire, but the reality is the vampire is an amazing product. But the main reason is because it's FPGA. Now, I love FPGA, but as you can see on this pack, on this chart, I'm only going to be talking about one of them, but I'll just briefly go for it. So the garlic pack is what we're going to be showing you today. That is our Mister kit with the Mister, using the Mist core, And it runs really well. There's going to be a demonstration in a minute to go through this. But that's the pack that I think's the key one to me. The next one, Van Helsing pack. I call it Van Helsing because it'll wipe the floor with the vampire. But again, it's not FPGA, but it will destroy it. There's no doubt about that. But it's a whole new way of thinking, because the whole idea of the AIME hybrid was make the Amiga. It is based on an emulator sitting on top of Linux, and it's kind of been done in such a way so that if you just boot it, you don't need to even notice Linux sitting there. So, but I know a lot of people don't like that, hence the FPGA versions. But it is really fast. It's based on a Pi 4, so that's actually a fantastic kit. And of course at the bottom, if you've already been bitten. So basically, it's tongue in cheek, but it's if you have already got a Vampire V4, you want to put it in a kit. So I've actually sold loads of each. And the reason for saying the garlic pack is, if you've got this, you might not need the Vampire. I know it's useful. It is good for sysinfo, but you might not need that. And of course, because it's the Mister, you've got so much more potential. In fact, actually, I think it's also cheaper, because by the time you buy my pack of $299 and you add on the D10 with the software and everything, it's about £200 roughly more. So it's about £500 plus VAT. If you're abroad, you don't pay the VAT, but you pay your own tax. But yeah, so I think it's a good little pack. So I'm going to go through that now, because I think it's probably, for retro fans, it's probably the best one. So let's get into it, shall we? So yeah, this is the garlic pack we're going to discuss. Okay, now basically the pack includes the deluxe case, black and white, the Mr. fitting kit, and a 200 watt power supply. Now you'll notice they're all the same price, but it's mainly because the fitting kits, there's not much in it. This is actually the most complex, and probably make even less on this one than I make a little bit more on the others. So hopefully it'll kind of balance out. But so what is the fitting kit? So it starts off with this metal frame. So the metal frame, and now this board is from Mr. FPGA, but I'm not 100%, but I think they're all based on the same design. I'm supplying this as part of the kit. I know people are going to say, well, I've already got one. Great, you're going to get another one, because my concern is I can remove it from the kit, maybe swap it for something. You're not getting £30 off, because it doesn't cost me that much. But I don't know about the matching. You see, if there's been any slight tweaks in design, so hence I'm supplying this, and it's just not worth worrying about that. But anyway, so there's the board, and as you see, it's fixed in. And then tell you about now on the back, if you've got all the ports, so you can see the USB ports all match up. You can also see above it, if you can see you can see the pointer. There's another USB there, another USB there. Okay, you can actually mount another external USB, but I don't supply the kit for that. But you can put another one external, but you've still got access to all the internal ports, and having the fact that you've got that big power supply on there, assuming you go for that, obviously, which is part of the kit. It can power like CD-ROM drives and internal hard drives and all that kind of stuff if you want to go down that road. So right now, but yes, there's a lot of cables. Okay, so this is pretty much the cable kit you're going to get. And the idea of this is that, as you can see, so if I start from the top, there's the power cable. That takes from the power from our ATX adapter board. The next one down splits it into two connectors to go into the D10 and then go into the USB hub. The next one is the VGA cable. So now, if you buy the basic kit, you put your D10 Nano Age, you might not have that analog board, but these two cables are in there for you. So you've got your analog VGA and you'll have your analog audio. So you can literally just, if you do get the other one, you can put it on top, connect it all up, and away you go. Then we got the RJ45, and then we've got the HDMI, and these are just literally adapter boards, cables, plug in, and just go to the back of the mount frame. Underneath that, you can see there's two USB to panel mounts. That gives you the extra two, so it's now 5 USB ports on the back. Now the last one's actually wrong, but it's the cable that you're going to get is actually this one here at both ends, and you connect the two boards together. Okay. Right, let's get the next picture. You've already seen that, but they're the two analog ones. Again, you're probably not going to need to mount them unless you buy the analog board. The good thing with the analog board, you can then run HDMI output and your analog on 2 different monitors, and you can stream one and play one. That kind of thing. I know a lot of people like analog, but the key thing about this is that a lot of people don't bother about analog, they just want to get it on display. And HDMI is, I mean, you're saving yourself instantly £50 or whatever the cost of the analog boards are. So you're saving yourself money there, and you get that. That's why I think it's quite a good way to get this coming a bit lower cost. Okay, so now this is the board all put together. I mean, the shot doesn't really help, to be fair, because it's quite complex. You can see everything's connected up, and on the back panel here we've got our 5 USBs connected. Here's your HDMI, and oh, hang on, let's get the right cursor. So you can see here, this is the RJ45 HDMI, your 5. Now your VJ would go here, and your audio would go there. Okay. Get to the next one. Let's turn it round. There's another shot, but of course it comes in black as well. So if you've got a black case, I'll send you the black frame. Now this shot obviously showing if you purchase from Mr. FPGA, I think, or others, if they're all the same, I'm not 100% sure. As I said, all this has been done with Mr. FPGA, so he's supplying all the goods here. But if you buy this board, you can mount it, and you see it just mounts on, and you can see I've got the connectors plugged into the side over here. There's your analogs, and then screwed into the back of the frame. And then we put it all together. You can see it's all in there. Now, anyone with an eagle eye notices that hasn't got a nut on it. Yes, for some reason I didn't have the nut on that one. They will come with a nut to screw them up and hold the audio in place. This is obviously the cable that goes into the ATX board, which I think is going to be seen next. Okay, so you open the case. Now this also helps you put it together. And you can see our little ATX board down the side, on the left-hand side here. And so you plug your power supply into it, and these 3 cable connectors here. You can ignore these 2 white ones. They're only for fans, but if you want to plug fans in, you can. I tend to just put a heat sink on it. If you want a fan, you can mount a fan, and you can use those connectors. But not too wide. Those 4 pins kind of underneath here, you can just, under this big ATX block, that's where that little cable goes. So at the top you've got the power LED, at the bottom you've got the power switch, and just ignore the middle, that's something completely different. So this is kind of this board here is used for a number of things. Okay, it's important to be aware of that. Right, so now you can see the board's in there, cables are connected up. It's not as neat. It's not as neat as the Mystics. The Mystics does look a lot neater, but you're saving about £100 at the moment, and so you know it's a lot cheaper than the Mystics was. I mean, I think the Mystics is an amazing board, and I hope we can get a lower cost version next year. But for now, this is pretty much doing the same thing. Here's our power supplies. Now we have if you're going to put an SFX power supply in, it's important to understand that I have to be able to cope with really small amount of power draw, because we've got as you can tell, these are custom SFX. Well, they're not really. Let's be honest. I've managed, after about hunting high and low in China, to find an SFX power supply that will suit. I found a company that would custom modify the board to make sure that it would start with the low power, because these only draw 3-4 amps. It's very little, and most power supplies just won't even turn on. So this one does. They made sure it does. They all turn on nicely. There is a switch on the back that switches between the voltage 110 and 230 to 240. But it's designed so it will work. It's not actually connected in here, but I think it is in a later picture. And of course, then you can, if you want to put internal hard drives and plug them into the internal spare USBs, you've got all that there inside one case. Right, so that's that. And now, of course, here's a rear view. You can see that power switch. So you switch them. I do cover that up and say make sure it's set correctly. And there you go. So you can see the board, and here's the LED board at the front. Keeps going on. Then put the lid on, nice and neat. This slot here, you can actually put extra things in the back of that. It's just a half height, normal size adapter there, which is quite useful. And then at the front, and then it's just basically a case. But ultimately, then what you end up with is hopefully, I think you agree, is a nice little system. And my speakers here, I bought some, these are called Edifier speakers. I've got another set up and I absolutely love them. They have two sets of phono inputs on the back and it mixes the two accordingly. If you want to buy, you'll see there's a custom keyboard there. These are the keyboards that we sell. They have clone cherry red switches, so they have a lovely tactile feel. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I had to do kind of what I liked. More importantly, there's the custom keycaps. Now you can buy the custom keycaps, so if you want to buy your own cherry keyboard with the cherry switches, MX switches, then these keycaps will give you that Amiga experience. They also come in, instead of grey, they come in beige, so it matches the case a bit more. Sadly, I couldn't do the keyboard case to match, but they wanted like an order of about 2,000. Of course, there's no way I was going to do that. But anyway, so that's what you end up with. Let's now go into a video on a demonstration of what it can do. So what does this mean if you're going to get one of these Mr. Systems from us? Well, basically, if you're an Amiga fan, what you're going to get is a fantastic experience. As you can see on the screen here, this is showing off the RTG display, and the performance wise, if you're running the Amiga on the Mister, you get about almost, in fact it's literally just under 3 times the performance of a 3000, which is a 25 megahertz version, which for most things, especially games, is more than good enough. But you can also use it really well as a retro computer system if you like to do pixel art, or if you want to do music, that kind of thing. There's also, although it's not on this screen, you can set it up with, well, if you get one of our systems, you'll get it set up with a share folder, and in the top left hand corner there'll be a share folder. And what that is it allows you to, whilst we don't have TCP/IP built into this because you don't really need it, it's not meant to be your daily driver for internet, that kind of thing. But if you want to share files to it, because of the way the Mister project's designed, you can FTP into it. And so you can create a shared folder on here and then drop files into it, and then to get them back to your main computer. So it is a really nice setup. You can, if we supply the complete system, then we ship it with Amiga OS 3.14 at the moment, and Amiga Forever 9, and there's a complete distribution set up with a whole lot, which you're pretty much looking at here. This is the widescreen version. Now, one of the questions, of course, is we try to get the costs down on this, which means only HDMI. So you can add the analog board, but we've got an HDMI with this to keep the cost down. So that's given us widescreen monitors, etc., which you can, to be fair, you can get on VGA as well. But it does allow you to have a modern display, and this is running at 1280 by 720. It can go higher, sorry, 768. But I think it looks quite nice. And of course, if, for example, if we run let's run a demo. Now I've got it going through these big speakers. I have a horrible feeling I may have the sound a bit loud, but we'll see in a second. That's not too bad. Now the key thing with this, as always, is to watch the text at the bottom and see how smooth that is. Now I'm recording this at 30 frames a second. What I'm seeing here is literally rock solid. It should look. Let me turn that down. If you get one of our keyboards, you get this nice little volume dial. Yeah, what I can see here is perfectly smooth. So from an Amiga fan's point of view, if you want to play games, yeah, so as you can see, this is Pac-Mania. Got the controller a little bit away from me here, which is not very bright, was it? There we go. But yeah, you can use normal controllers or normal controllers. So if you had the Mystics board, then you would have been able to use Amiga controllers, but we're trying to keep the cost down, so just normal USB controllers here. Let's jump into here. Let's turn the volume up a little bit. Okay, so you can see this. So yeah, obviously it can play all the Amiga games and so on. Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into this because I think we all know what Amiga games are like. They're absolutely fantastic. But you're not going to notice any difference between this and the, I personally think it's compared to an Amiga, so it's really accurate. The one thing I like, which will be controversial, a lot of people will, hang on. There we go, let's get the right button, shall we? One thing that's going to be really controversial, I actually like this specific setting. There's a setting in here I like. And what it is if I turn on one of these demos, it's very, I don't think you're going to be able to pick up on this as such. I'm not really sure if you're going to pick up on this. Right. So if I go to here, which is the F12, and go into the menu, and then I go to upscaling. Now, before we do that, let's go to audio and video. You can see I've got HQ2, well you might not be able to see it, but I've got HQ2X. Now what that does is, it kind of, smooth's the wrong word. You'd have to play with it, but it kind of makes it look like it's higher resolution than it actually is, and I really like it. I know the purists out there are going to freak out me saying this. Let me just see. And I use upscaling bilinear, and it just gives it. I like it. You may not if you're an absolute retro aficionado. Can't even really say it. If you're an aficionado, you're probably not going to like this, and you're going to want it in the one with the scan lines. But I like it to make it look a bit. So it looks like it's high resolution, but again, that's just me. Okay, right. So that's Amiga side of things. The Amiga, it's well served, and I personally think it's got that balance between very accurate, stable core because it's based on the old MIST project. While we're talking, I'll just load up something else. Hang on. Let's just see what I've got this set for because it'd be quite nice to see this. Oh, I'll leave it in that mode. Okay. It's also a really good way of running macOS. Now I've actually got it set forth in a 1084 768 mode. But it's a great way of running Macintosh software as well. Now, it's an awful lot more to this than just that. What I'm trying to say is you're getting a really good Amiga experience, and this is just literally just emulating the Mac. Okay, so, but it can do an awful lot more. So if you're an Amiga fan and you just want to buy something that really does give a nice feeling, you can't see over here, we have another one over here, which is actually the Mystics. It's the D10 Nano and the Mr. Project gives such a great experience. Right, now I'm going to show you. So if you buy this, right, you will get from me, and if you buy a complete bundle with the software and everything, you will get pretty much this version. Not all the software you're going to see, in fact, very little of the software, because we can't give away because a lot of it is copyright and so on. But you can go find it really easily. So let's go and have a look at what else you can do with the Mister. Okay, so here we are. So in the arcades, I'm not going to go play for everything, but there's absolutely tons of arcade. Let's pick one I like. Now, this is the original Arcanine. Now I've got this is actually on the Amiga as well, so on that Amiga distro you've seen. But having said that, okay. Look. Right, let's see if I'm any good at this. In fact, this doesn't look any different than it does on the Amiga. I gotta be honest, actually. It's absolutely identical on the Amiga. It's crazy. But these are some of the old games that I used to play, but let's, we'll get out of that now. There is a load of games, but probably what you're going to be more interested in is things like the consoles. I'm coming back to the computers. Now, I'm going to cut, if you're a games player, I'm going to cut a small clip in here of a system that you might want to think about instead of buying this, because I'm really targeting this system for those who want to use the computer side of things. So if they're more into the recreations of the retro computers and having the experience of having it in a retro inspired case. But if you just want to play games, I will cut in at some point in the video another product which I think is going to potentially suit you more. But you have a look at that one as well before you obviously make your decision. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the consoles. Now, there is loads in here, all the Ataris, ColecoVision, Game Boy, GBA, Genesis, Mega CD, Neo Geo, NES, Odyssey, SNES, TurboGrafx. I mean, there's loads, but what I'm going to show you is that the Neo Geo core on this is absolutely outstanding. And this will be the one again where I'll forget which one is doing the keys, the coins. Right, Metal Slug. Right, let's grab this again. Right. So where this really is good is if you like computers and you want to play on computers, but you like games as well. I really am rubbish at this. But there we go. This core is absolutely outstanding. Anyway, right, let's kill out of that one. It's really good. He's having a drink now. Right, so probably already know all about the cores on here, but so other systems can software emulate the Neo Geo, but this is hardware. This is like just the real thing in FPGA. So it is absolutely outstanding. But let's have a look at some computers now. Again, the Neo Geo core, you've got to go and find. You've got to find the games. You've got to do the same thing with all of them. Okay, I can't give you that obviously, but they're very easy to find if you look. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so Archie, let's try this one. Now, obviously, if you're doing the computers, then this is the reason for the case, making it look nice, and giving you that experience. Again, we got the 16:9 aspect ratio. You can use a nice 4:3 monitor. You never know what might come along with that. Okay, so on here you can see we've got Mr. So this is now the Archimedes. Okay. And in here we've got tons of games. Well, I don't want to play games, do I? New look. Let's have a look in here. Okay, so load that, and of course it loads down there. Here we go, 256 colours. It's an Archimedes. I mean, it's crazy. And I've got an Archimedes 410, and it's why did I bother? Well, because it's really nice having the original machine, but we can't all own the real machines. So, so you've got the Archimedes. So let's go and kill that discard. What we'll do is see if we shut it down. See if I can remember how to do it. Shut down. There you go. Right. So that's the Archimedes. But say for example, let's load up and see what other ones we got. Oh, it's got a nice blank screen. I always hate when it goes. Let's see if we can get a picture up, because I have it set with lots of background pictures, random pictures, but it's doing it again, like boring. Right, so in that case, actually, there you go. Let's go on to computer again. Now, Acorn Atom, Altair, BBC. Now, so you've got your BBC, you've got Atari 800, Atari ST. The Atari ST is apparently really good. I don't play it myself. BBC Micro, C16, C64. Jupiter, Mini-Mig, well the Mini-Mig's in Mig obviously, MSX, Auric, I mean PDP-1, PET 2001, the QL, Sam Coupe. I mean the list just goes on, and this is being updated all the time. X68000, I don't think that's ready yet, but that's going to be quite something. ZX Spectrum, ZX81s. But I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go up and we'll have a look at the AO486. Now what this is, this equivalent of a 486 SX. But I believe there's no FPU. But it's running about 90 megahertz speed. But you can do it in a number of ways. You can run the launch box, or you've got all the game. I mean, it's DOS, but you can also go down to Windows and just show it's Windows 95. Now, you can actually run this Windows 95 because I think it's now publicly available. Pretty sure of that. So you can technically do that. I can't show the game. You can't distribute the games, but here we go. So. That old sound. Here we go. Here we go. So yep, it's Windows. It's Windows 95. Yeah, it's Windows 95 in all its glory. Right now, but it's all in there. I'm not sure if we can. Have we got Doom in here? We have got Doom in here. Look, let's see if we can run Doom from here. Do you know what? Really should check this before I do it. Let's find out. Nah. There you go. I don't know how well this is. Oh, it's coming out right, actually, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, look, it's a 486 core basically, and it runs Doom. Yeah. Quit. Right, and what we do is now, because you know what Windows is like, if you want to get out of it, you need to shut it down. Otherwise, it will get the It's 486, which I think is great. So now let's have one more look at one more. Let's go. Which one should we go for? Computer. Right, let's go BBC Micro. BBC Micro. Now again, you can buy. Obviously, my pack includes the case, the power supply, and the fitting kit, and then you put the system in it. Or we will be supplying them complete with an operating system as a separate part. So that's completely up to you. Let's just see. 3D tank. Oh, this might be interesting. Tanks. I don't know. Not like this. Oh. Control keys only. Low main program. Keyboard. Oh wow. Actually, do you know what I should have done? Oh, just killed it. I guess that's the kill button. Let's kill that. Right, let's kill that. There's lots in here. So hopefully that little demo's piqued your interest. Obviously in this video there's a lot more. But if you are thinking of games, and it's all you want, if all you want to do is play games and you want it in a nice neat little console, there's going to be a video in a second just to give you an alternative to this. It's actually made by a friend of ours, and you've got that choice, because we obviously want to sell this to people who want to build a retro computer and they're interested in computer side. If it's just for games, you're better off with a consoleized version of it, or get the little cube. But anyway, I hope that helped. and speak to you soon. Thanks very much.
We've made our very own retro video games console right here in the cave. Hello, cave dwellers. No, it's not a Raspberry Pi. No, it's not me with a soldering iron and a glue gun putting these things together. This is a really professionally made bit of kit in collaboration with the electronics firm that I share this building with. I think we've come up with something awesome. I'm going to give you a quick flavour of what it's all about now, and then we'll come back, we'll pop the lid, and we'll see what this thing is all about. Let's have a look.
This is the Mr. Multi-System, a consoleized way to experience your favourite consoles, computers and arcades by using our hardware, the open source Mr. project and an FPGA chip. Systems such as the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis with perfect RGB SCART video output supporting original CRT monitors for that incredibly authentic experience. The pixels just look so good on my Sony Trinitron here. It also offers VGA and HDMI video outputs so that you can game on your CRT and stream through your HDMI capture device at the same time. NES, Super Nintendo, Neo Geo, PC Engine, Mega CD, Master System, all of these systems are supported. It even handles handhelds like the Game Boy and the Atari Lynx, thanks to the accurate FPGA cores that power this thing. This is not software emulation. And there's new systems and arcade cores being developed for the Mr. project all of the time, thanks to that dedicated Mr. community. Explore your own nostalgia journey like I am with one of the machines we had at school. We had the Acorn Archimedes, which I'm showing here, and the BBC Micro is supported, or cross over the pond to see how the US did it with some Apple II action. Of course, all of the firm favourites can be found on here, like the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, and my very first computer, the Amstrad CPC range, for some head-chopping barbarian action. Before moving on to my second computer, the Commodore Amiga, with perfectly recreated custom chips, all running in parallel thanks to the FPGA heart of this machine. We're building snap-on support for original controllers with something called a snack adapter, which is built right on board with interchangeable ports. And as testament to the accuracy and perfect timing of this system, it even supports original light guns on your CRTs, as well as classic joysticks and joypads. Or you can opt to use any modern USB wired controllers, Bluetooth adapters, Wi-Fi dongles. This thing has enough juice coming through those ports to power anything you throw at it. This is our contribution to the world of FPGA retro gaming, an alternative form factor to the great products that already exist out there to serve the Mr. community that I hope will open even more eyes to the project and deliver good, fun, accurate retro gaming in a new, affordable and easy to use form factor.
Right, so I hope you enjoyed those videos. And you have an interest in this. I know this is mainly aimed mostly at Amiga fans, and I think if you're an Amiga fan, I know I'm biased obviously because I make this system, but ask anyone about the Mr. running the emulator. I mean, up until probably a year ago, I'd have said it was a great the game system for basics, but since they've put on the RTG, since the RTG was created by Alistair, I mean, it's transformed it, and you've got this amazing, RTG system, which we didn't have back in the day. So it's basically the equivalent. If you think of it as a 4040, but say 3/4 of the performance, okay, with AGA, RTG graphics card, and it's just, there isn't a floating point. Bear that in mind. There's no floating point unit. That's not been done. Maybe one day, who knows? But it does give a fantastic experience, and it runs software just beautifully. So hopefully you agree that this pack is worth looking at. Again, if you're just wanting it for games, can I recommend that you look at Neil's? Neil's got a fantastic package, and he's been very supportive. He spends a lot of his time promoting other systems. I know he's got his own now. But it's not competition, it's just a different way of doing it. I mean, we have Mr. FPGA. They do the standard, like the rectangle boxes, which I should have brought my one down. And it's just such a great system to be involved in, and to be fair, it's really taken off. So mine's a very small, probably niche if you want to make it a nice looking computer system to do what you want on. But hopefully this is of interest. Visit the site if you want to order them. Now we are at the end, getting to the end of October. Christmas is coming. I'm going to be fair with everybody. I have about 160 cases, but I only have around 60 power supplies, which is my limiting factor. So I can ship about 60 sets before Christmas. I have already ordered more power supplies, but they probably won't arrive until the new year. So I've got about 60. If you do want to get one of them, don't hang about, because you're just going to be disappointed. Yeah, jump on the site. You can see the site on there. A link at the bottom. Go to my site and get on there and place an order. If you do want to get a complete system with me building in them, like I did with the Kickstarter backers, contact me. I will add, if there's demand for that, I will add that as an additional option. Because I'm not quite sure, because I don't want to order a load of these D10s in, because I'm obviously marking up. So my thinking at the moment is probably 199 for it, which sounds a lot, so bear with me. But that would be the D10 Nano with 128 megabyte RAM, with a heatsink, and with the operating system on an SD card. It all adds up. But again, that's, you can build your own if you know what you're doing. So anyway, I hope that was interesting. Thanks so much for getting to the end, hopefully, and I'll speak to you soon.